Good morning, YouTube. This is Richard, founder of Short Term Rentals University and Airbnb Superhost. Today I have the pleasure to be reviewing Jennifer's luxury Africa-inspired Maine Coast retreat. Thank you for buying the review, and I'm really excited to do this. It's absolutely gorgeous and stunning. Jennifer actually paid for two, and we reviewed her other property in San Francisco as well. So if you haven't caught up on that, check that out too. But unbelievable aesthetic, unbelievable quality, unbelievable attention to detail. And I think it's aspirational for many of us. So there's plenty to learn here. And I also think there's plenty to learn for Jennifer and for the rest of us as far as understanding what our why is, and also using Airbnb to achieve that why. So as a reminder, we go into 6 different topics. We start with the title, then we talk about the photos and the order. We go into the thumbnail that she's selected. We talk about the description, how she's marketing the property, the reviews that she's received from prior guests, and then finally her pricing. So let's dive into it. Luxury Africa-inspired Maine Coast retreat, yes. I love it in many ways, and I think it's a little bit challenged in many ways. So let's dissect it. I love the fact that it's luxury Africa inspired, and when we take a look at the photos, it's going to be very clear and evident just again how beautiful the decor is and the aesthetic and the design, and it's just marvelous. And I think it's super cool that this Africa inspired theme is in Maine, and that's going to set it apart from just about everyone else in Kennebunkport is my that's my guess. I think this is probably unique, and it's going to speak to certain people, and they're going to want this place and only this place, and they'll pay for it. So I think the luxury Africa-inspired Maine coastal retreat really drives that home. That said, just because it resonates with me doesn't necessarily mean it resonates with all the people looking in Kennebunkport. So the reason I'm torn is there might be other titles that resonate more and get you more clicks and therefore more bookings. And so some examples of those might be, instead of highlighting that it's luxury Africa inspired, which again, you run rugged elegance, it appeals to me, it obviously appeals to you, it appeals to the people that have stayed there. It might be a turnoff to some people. Some people might say, I'm going to Kennebunkport where President Bush was, I'm going to get lobster rolls, I'm going to coastal Maine, and like that's what I'm looking for, and I'm not looking to go on safari. And if you just didn't mention that in the title, they may not even recognize that it's a safari or anything like that. So I might say something to the effect of decorated by, and then not necessarily his name, but like Architectural Digest masterpiece in coastal Kennebunkport, yes. And that's going to get people that are really design focused. I might do things that are talking about 5-star luxury retreat unavailable anywhere else in Kennebunkport. So I would play with the title. I would try a few different things. Compare your luxury Africa, which again speaks to me, to things that are talking about like Architectural Digest and appealing to people that are architecturally and design focused. And then I would try a third one, which is much more luxury oriented, and see which one gets you most clicks. And that's the whole point of the title. It's not to say that we're right. It's not to say that it's like really descriptive. What it really is trying to do is get the most attention, the broadest audience, to get them to click, to look at the photos, to look at the location, to look at the pricing, and see if it's a good fit for them. And that's all we're trying to do with the title. So my opinion is I like the title. It's going to resonate with some. I think it's pretty niche. It may not resonate with as many people as you want, and making it a broader appeal might get you more clicks and more bookings. Let's talk about the photos and the order of the photos. Once again, the photos are unbelievably professional. I love the angles and the lighting. The decor is incredible. I'm going to go ahead and flip through it now. I love the elephant. As you know, we've got the elephant in our logo. So knowledge, wisdom, education, big believers in that. And I'm clicking through. Cool. So I absolutely love the photos. I love the fact that you've included photos of the inside, the outside, the showers, the bath, the indoor, outdoor showers. I mean, it just looks like an unbelievably great, comfortable place and space. I like the fact that you've got the descriptions talking about how close you are to the beach and so on. I love the fact that you include a photo of Tim and Jen having mimosas and brunch, and I think that that's really nice touch. So that's done really well as well. And I love the fact that the home has a name that means thank you very much. I don't have a lot to add with regard to the home, except if you do have a floor plan, I think it would be helpful. This is a shared room in the bigger home, and it's not exactly clear from me how much space one has that's on limits or off limits. For instance, there's no photos of the kitchen, so does that mean that there's no kitchen access at all? There's this little coffee bar, which looks really cool and comfortable, but you know, if somebody's staying for multiple days, Kennebunkport's a little bit remote, is there a place for them to, you know, I don't know, grilled cheese for them kids or whatever? And I guess it's just a bedroom, so maybe people aren't coming with kids and it's just a couple, and I'd like to come visit. It looks fabulous. So I think the photos are really well done. If you could include a floor plan or make it a little more clear what's happening in the rest of the house and whether that's on limits or off limits, that would be helpful. But the landscaping, everything about it looks fabulous. Your attention to detail in your eye is exceptional. We all have a lot to learn. Let's talk now about the thumbnail. I think that the thumbnail shot is really very spectacular. Unfortunately, the elephant gets cut off a little bit, but you can see it. And this like distressed wall and so on over here and over here, you know, for people like myself and others that really are into the design aesthetic, it resonates, right? To some people that are the wrong fit, they're going to look at it and say, oh, it's not maintained, and you don't want those people in your home anyway. They possibly can't afford it. But I think that the thumbnail photo is really great. I would suggest A/B testing it and maybe try the photo of the bedroom here with the back, I don't know if it's a wading pool or pond, private hot tub. This is a really spectacular oasis as well, so that might work really well as well. And the way to tell is just to test it and just look at your statistics on Airbnb and let the community talk to you. It's not about what we think is right or which we think is best, it's which one gets us the most results, because after all, we're running a business. And that's one of the biggest things I've learned as an entrepreneur over the course of years. I used to think that I would pick the best photo or the best copy or the best landing page or whatever. And it's important for us to take a step back, remove ourselves, and let the world speak to us, because at the end of the day, we're serving the community in the world, and whatever resonates with them is what we want to do. So just test a few different ones. You will not find anything like Asante Sana in Kennebunkport. That is true, nor anywhere along the eastern seaboard. Also true. Perhaps not anywhere in the world. Okay. Your luxury suite with fieldstone floors, indoor shower, it's a hot tub, award-winning Africa-inspired home. This is kind of interesting, and I think it should be highlighted further, and it should be perhaps earlier and more descriptive. So what awards, right? Here you talk about the landscape design has won numerous national awards. Maybe we can highlight that a little bit more so that people know like what kind of awards. You go on and talk a lot about the international interior designer, John Saladino, who I know and admire, and yourself and Stephen Barlow. Again, this is a little bit difficult to read. I'm sitting here and I don't know if maybe more spacing, maybe one or two sentences, space, one or two sentences, but I love the way that you're painting the dream. It's tucked into a stunning family compound. It may inspire you to nap in a hammock, pick seasonal blueberries, play ping pong or croquet on their great lawn, or soak up the birch trees and birds as you listen to the ocean or the sound of the waterfall in the woods. Great, but long, a lot of different choices. Maybe let's pick a couple. Let's separate it so it's easier to read. You know, we're creatures of like, especially today in the texting, instant messaging world, where we just like skim and read quickly. So these really long paragraphs, even though they're interesting to us, people are probably skimming through and they're not necessarily getting what they want. At least if it's shorter, they can skim or skip, or if it resonates, they can read it carefully. Here, like the other listing, you talk about the Rugged Elegance Retreat, which I think it's cool that you're trying to create this brand on Airbnb, or maybe it's more important off Airbnb and you're incorporating the homes as part of Rugged Elegance, but it's not really clear to a first-time user on Airbnb what Rugged Elegance is or why they should care. You talk about it with regard to charities and so on, and we talked about that in your other listing as well, But I think maybe a little bit of separation, at least until you get the Airbnb portion more successful by your standards, would be helpful. I like the way that you talk about kayaking and paddle boardings, and it's only a 20-minute paddle. I like the way that you talk about calling the bedroom suite a bush. I think that's really, keeping with the African theme and speaking to people. 15 minutes to Kennebunkport, enter your domain via private entrance. Yeah, see, like here we go again. Asante Sana defines rugged elegance Africa and Maine combined. Like that has a lot of meaning to you and your co-host, but it doesn't have a lot of meaning to somebody who has never heard of Asante Sana, rugged elegance, or Africa. They're looking to stay in Kennebunkport for 4th of July weekend and eat some lobster rolls. And I think that you're creating this niche that's important to you, but not necessarily to the community. I think long-term that's a great strategy, but for the short term, I would encourage you to keep them separate. Guest access, we talk about what they have access to. The paddle boards, Tim and Jen will help you. That's fantastic. Here we go again, Rugged Elegance founders, Jennifer King and Timothy Friedel. Welcome you, philanthropies, African or Maine focused nonprofit, support the 10%, and then you talk about the charities. And I think this is something that I said it in my first review of yours. I think it's really noble. I think it's really worthwhile. I commend you. I think giving back and philanthropy is fabulous, but I think it's unique on the Airbnb platform. Maybe you're early to that, but I'm not sure that people are going to be booking your place because of this or be inspired because of it. And therefore, it just seems to detract from the listing and the topic at hand. And the topic at hand is, I need a great place to stay 4th of July weekend. What am I going to do? And when I start reading this, I start asking, like, well, which charity and what does this mean? And start bouncing and go look at some of these charities. And you never want people to leave your website. You want people to be here, look at it, be inspired by your copy and your photos, and book. And I'm not suggesting that they're getting, super distracted. I'm just saying, it's a confusing message. There's a lot of different things here. I think there's a really strong conscious capitalism element of giving back and donating and Tom's shoes and all of that, but not here, not now, in my opinion. And then again, here we talk about the rugged, elegant Jen and her husband Tim and their golden retriever reside in San Francisco in the fall and the summer, and in Maine from the mid-June through, say, September, October. That's really cool, and the dog is very friendly, but you don't allow other dogs on the family compound. And so, I guess when I read the description, I'm not, again, exactly sure what your point is, like what the why is in doing this Airbnb or the San Francisco. And so I'm going to speculate on a couple of different things, and I'm hopefully not offending you in any way, but I'm just trying to be helpful. And so through brainstorming, maybe I'll get to something that resonates with you and your husband. You guys can think about it. But again, as I said in the other one, is your why to own these great properties, and they're fantastic, and just offset some of the costs? Is your why to own these great properties and share these great properties with other people because the properties are bigger, and so you want to meet like-minded people and create a network and a community? Is your why because you've got this other business and philanthropy thing called Rugged Elegance, and as part of the Rugged Elegance thing, it'd be really kind of cool to have real estate where members of Rugged Elegance can come stay, and since it's not used that much, you can also put it on an Airbnb and make some more money? Or is your desire to really optimize for income and have these unbelievable homes, more or less pay for themselves? And that's a whole spectrum, and there's no right or wrong, but it's a very personal decision. I think once you have that clearly defined, your copy will be better defined. So for instance, I would love to stay at this place, and maybe one day I will, but I might want to rent the entire house. Now, the fact that you guys moved there for the summer means that it's probably not available. I have a slightly different why, and I have a variety of vacation homes all across the country, and I can only be at one place at one time. But I wonder, when you're in Maine, is your place in San Francisco available for the entire house? Because the listing that I reviewed there said that it was only the top floor, or there was another listing that had, I think, 3 floors, but the bottom floor was always the owner's. So you might want to start to think about your lifestyle and how you optimize your Airbnb, again, if the income is important for you. I'm happy to talk to you about it. I don't think it really defines a lot of the people that are watching this and their situation, but I think one of the things that I learned from going through the same why experience in my Airbnb was I've defined the way that I live and where I live and how I live differently than the average person. The average person has one home and either they share it or maybe they have two homes and they rent one of the homes out entirely. And I've sort of viewed myself as a little bit more nomadic and roaming and having a variety of homes, if you will, and I love sharing them with people. And then I also have this other idea, which is that all assets must pay for themselves, right? Like there's no more free lunch. And so if I'm not using it, somebody else should, and therefore I give them the entire home, not just one floor, not just one room, but the entire home. I'm not suggesting you do that. I'm just trying to plant some seeds to be helpful. Okay, let's turn to the reviews now. The reviews, as you might expect, are unbelievable. 4 reviews, 5 stars. It looks like they started in July this summer and then August and September. And just as you would think, people absolutely love it. I love the fact, Jennifer, that you're responding. I mentioned this in one of the other reviews for you. I'd love to see the host photo be yourself and your husband. You talk about yourself throughout, but the photo is just you. So maybe you could go ahead and include both of you in that photo. And the reviews, people are talking about both of you, and I think that's really nice. And you're responding to them, so it's great. The one thing is, it doesn't seem like there's that many of them. Being in Kennebunkport, Maine in the summer, I would think if you're priced right and people are looking for a single home, you should be sold out almost the entire summer if you wanted to do that. If you didn't want to do that, you should be sold out certainly every single weekend. And if you didn't want to do that, then maybe you're at peak capacity, but I don't think so. That's probably why you've paid for this review. You'd like to do this more. You're enjoying it. The money is helpful. And so therefore, I think that there's some room to improve. Which brings me to the pricing. And let's talk about that. I think up here, the security deposit I'm fine with. The cleaning fee seems light. I'm not a big fan of weekly discounts or monthly discounts. You've heard me say that time and time again. The fact that you're offering weekly discounts and monthly discounts, to me, signifies that you're looking for more bookings and more activity, and you're less price sensitive, like you're willing to decrease the price. So I might experiment a little bit with the price, and instead of having it be $500 a night, let the market speak to us. Start at $250 a night if you're sold out or you're getting a lot of bookings. Then go to $300, then $350, then $400. And as you start to build the reviews, more than 4 or 5-star reviews, you may get to $500, or in fact, you may get even higher, $600, $700. But I think it's more important to let the market speak to you, build the credibility, get the reviews, and then let people pay more. You are definitely using some dynamic pricing. I see pricing here in November as much as $800 over Thanksgiving. And so this is my point. If you're back in San Francisco over the Thanksgiving holiday, why not have a listing that's the entire house? Because for Thanksgiving, I don't want to be alone and I don't want to be with one other person. I want to be with my family. And if Kennebunkport's a place that I want to be, then I want all of your bedrooms, and I might be willing to pay $2,000 a night or whatever the number is. So I think it's time to think a little bit more about the bigger picture here and what it is that you're trying to accomplish. I think price is a opportunity to discover what people will pay for a 1-bedroom, and also do perhaps like you did in San Francisco and have it be the whole house as well and use the price as a discovery there. Anyway, it's a great place. Jennifer, I'm going to book your place in San Francisco at some point in my life, and I'm going to come stay at your place in Kennebunkport at some point in my life. I'm so excited that you're part of our community and you've shared these wonderful homes. And again, I can't praise you enough with the quality, the attention to detail, the decoration and the decor. The aesthetic is just off the charts. I'm honored to have the privilege to look at this and share with you my thoughts. I hope it's really helpful. Let's connect offline if any of these things are questioning or giving you questions on how to proceed on the why. That's the biggest part of being an entrepreneur, is understanding what it is that you're doing. I think there's some mixed messages here. Some of your why is rugged elegance, some of your why is your personal home, some of your why is sharing and income. And we need to define those a little bit better, because then the photos, the copy, the pricing, and all that will fall into place. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. If you want your place reviewed, go ahead and click on the link below. And in the meantime, happy hosting. Please go ahead and share and comment below. And if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, I just,